This is a bonus video for Module 1, and it is essential. I would say this is very important and almost just as essential as Module 1. And I should have emphasized this more in Module 1, but I regrettably left it out. Now, this is something that's super important as well. And I want to start with a story to illustrate this. So, I went to a parking lot once. I was driving and I dropped off at a parking lot. And when I parked the car, I went out and I saw this, elderly gentleman who was in this booth, and he was the guy who was manning the parking lot. So I went on my way, and then when I went back, I pretty much started my car and I was leaving the parking lot. And right when I was exiting and I was trying to pay, I realized I had forgotten my wallet at home. And I talked to this man and we had a very brief exchange, but just by the way he acted, I saw that this guy was so happy. He enjoyed his life. He was very chill. And, he wasn't famous. He wasn't super rich at all. In fact, he was probably making a lot less than people who work 9-to-5 office jobs who make maybe $40,000, $50,000 a year and hate their job. So what's the point of this whole thing? Well, I've encountered people, not always, but every now and again like this. They're janitors, maybe they mow grass, and they're so happy with life. And this goes beyond the scope of this course. I talk a lot about happiness, the science of it, and what really brings happiness, all sorts of those elements. But what's relevant for you in this module is that these people were happy. They enjoyed what they did. And, was it their passion? Not necessarily. Maybe their passion was what they did as a hobby after they got off work. Maybe that was video games, or maybe it was, for this elderly gentleman, soccer or football, whatever it is. But they were happy and enjoyed it. So the message of this is that you do not necessarily need to be super enthralled with what you do. This is the huge fallacy with follow your passion. And unfortunately, people make this mistake because they're not told any better. For most of human history, just having a job was good enough. But you can do better, and which is why you're taking this course, which is why you should. However, you don't want to fall into what I like to call the spoiled brat personality, where nothing's ever satisfied for you. And what's happened is, it's not the fact that you don't have the best job in the world, it's the fact that you're taking too much for granted. It's like the spoiled brat who grew up with inherited wealth. And so nothing's ever good enough. Oh, how come I only have 2 fancy cars? Oh, this, jasmine rice I'm eating is not fancy enough. It's not the fact that she actually doesn't have this stuff and she's not being treated right. It's the actual spoiled brat's fault. Technically, it may be the parents' upbringing, but the fact is that their perception of things has skewed things up. So you don't want that to occur to you. And I'm emphasizing this because it's very critical. And again, this is some high-level stuff that puts you much ahead of the pack. I don't think you will hear any of this anywhere else in the entire world. I mean, this is premium advice. So, what's the point of this whole thing? You don't have to be super enthralled at your job. Again, there's pivoting and movement involved over time. However, having said that, there is the test of, do I absolutely hate it? I call it the do I absolutely hate it test. If you're doing a job, a 9 to 5 office job, and you absolutely hate it, then that's a red flag to just give it up and move on to something else. That's something that you should move away from. You know, if you absolutely hate it, that's a huge thing that where you just have to say, okay, this is not for me. This is not where I should be right now. It's not working out. However, maybe you're at a middle phase where it's something that you enjoy, but you're not, tap dancing to work every day. Now, ideally, hopefully with this course one day, I will get you there, or get you there at least much faster than you anticipated. But if you're not there yet, then that's okay. If you do not absolutely hate it, then that's progress. And arguably, you're already in a place where you should be at least happy to a certain extent of being. Again, back to the parking lot man analogy, it was his perception of things, He was an immigrant, and he was just so happy to be making so much, just standing there every day, waiting for people to come by so that he can collect payments. He was making much more than he did in his original country. It happens all the time. I've seen it all the time. And the whole message behind that is, his perception was what made him so happy and enjoy his work so much. Do not fall into the spoiled brat persona issue. Ideally, in the background of things, in the background of life, sure, you can absolutely, over your lifetime, and again, people underestimate how long they have. They overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10, 20, 30, 50 years. So the point of this is, maybe you'll screw around, or maybe this thing won't work out the first day, second day, the 10th day. But in the background of things, for the next 40 years, you can start working out ways of improving your career slightly, ever so slightly, or maybe with substantial leaps every few years, so that you eventually get to a point where you're actually loving your job, straight out loving it. Now, with that in mind, even if you're not there, you have to appreciate this man and start incorporating what this parking lot man is doing with his mentality. Be thankful, enjoy. And again, if you absolutely hate it, that's a red flag to move on. Other than that, have a certain level of humbleness and think of the parking lot man. Thanks for watching.